This is James and Kara, and we are Kerouac Cruising.
We are taking you on a journey, traveling the country with our dogs and finding remote places where the dogs
And us
can roam free and play while we discuss life's growths, beauty, and some struggles along the way.
We recommend pairing our episodes with our blog at kerouacscruising.com, where we organize accurate information in an easy-to-follow format, removing all of the conversational goodies.
The link for this episode's blog post is in the show notes.
We encourage you to join the conversation by commenting where you listen, engaging with us on Facebook or Instagram at Kerouac Cruising, or email us at join@kerouacscruising.com.
In the meantime, thanks for tuning in. Sit back and enjoy the journey.
Good morning.
Hi, welcome to Kerouac Cruising. This is Kara and James.
Today we are talking about our journey beyond Red Lodge. So we didn't take Beartooth Pass to leave. That would have taken us to Yellowstone if we would have. Instead, we went south to Cody. Wyoming. Yep. And we grabbed some supplies.
Well, first off, when we left Red Lodge,
Oh, yeah.
So the people we were staying with, the guy works where we had stored our trailer in a parking lot at his work. He came home on Sunday
night, yep.
Sunday night and said, hey, they might be doing construction tomorrow morning right where you need to get your trailer out. They're cutting up the road. And we're like, they're not going to get there that early and set up or whatever. And we were planning on leaving between 9 and 10 in the morning. Well, his girlfriend had to leave for work. So when she left for work, she went by his work to find out they were already setting up construction.
So now it's a mad rush to get out the door. We're like trying to get the dogs ready, trying to make sure we're not forgetting anything, mad packing to get out the door. I'm pretty sure we're going out with no shoes. I think James actually was wearing socks. He wasn't even wearing shoes.
I was not wearing shoes.
I forgot about that. You weren't.
So we were originally just going to go down when our friend went to work.
Yeah.
We were just going to go get our trailer and be on our way. No big deal because he had to work at 10. So we're in a mad rush. We get down there, no shoes on or whatever because we're barreling our ass down there.
He runs up to these construction dudes in his socks. I'm not even kidding you guys. I'm holding his tennis shoes in my hand at the truck.
We couldn't find them fast enough and I just couldn't wait because I see him with the
concrete cutter, the asphalt cutter.
Asphalt cutter. And they're ready. They get the lines and they're ready to cut right where my trailer's got to pull out.
The only exit in this parking lot.
And I'm like, no. So I run up. The guy looks at me like I have 10 heads.
He's like, we told them that we're doing this. He's like, yeah, but they didn't tell us. We don't work for, irrelevant. The guy's doing his job.
They literally ran back with my stocking feet to my truck, moved the barricade, and drove my truck in, and they waited for us to leave. So
they were
at the end of the day, it was panic, but we made it through. So then we pull out, and then we barely
didn't even strap anything down.
We barely got the trailer situated.
You remember,
because all the coolers and stuff
were in the back of our car because we were worried about bears. Remember from our episode when we first got to Red Lodge, we unpacked a lot of the trailer because we were concerned about bears getting into our dry goods and our coolers and stuff. Even though we didn't need them at their house, we just didn't want to risk it because we weren't going to have eyes on the trailer. And we didn't even strap anything. I don't even think you had buckled the trailer. You just
I just
dropped it and ran. Yeah. So what was it? The post office?
Yep. Then we pulled in like a block over. They had a post office, and it was pre 9 a.m. So the post office wasn't open, so there was nobody there.
Yeah.
So I pulled in there, and then we secured the load.
James put shoes on.
Then we had to drive back to our friend's house because Kara forgot her phone or something.
Oh, I forgot about that too.
Yeah, and then we had to go back, and then we got to say bye to BB one more time.
Yeah.
And that was our friend. We had a great time.
We had a good time in Red Lodge. Red Lodge was beautiful.
When we tried to leave Red Lodge, it was crazy.
Yep.
But we got on the road.
It got us out the door a little bit earlier, which was great because then we got to our next spot earlier, which was a delight to be able to enjoy.
We enjoyed that.
Took a lot of the stress out of the drive.
So then we go to Cody, and that was a few-hour drive.
Mm-hmm.
Great drive, beautiful, just so scenic. Man, Montana is just so beautiful. Montana and Wyoming.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. We get supplies in Cody. Anything that you would need was in Cody. We went to O'Reilly's. I got some transmission fluid because when I checked my transmission fluid, it was a little low. We took care of that. We went to Walmart Supercenter. That was voted the friendliest Walmart in the history of mankind.
Well stocked. It was a great store.
Yeah,
And
but they were
Wyomings
voted the best
are
store.
super friendly. Yeah, the most friendly store. And the Wyomings, from our experience, are super friendly. We ended up hitting what was that town? Thermalopolis. That we hit south of Cody. There was something that we forgot that we realized, well, we're terrible. We tell you guys, try to get everything done in one shot in one town, and we'll drive a half hour later and be like, oh, we forgot to get this. So we got to stop. I think it was ice. I think we need to stop for ice. Oh, and water. We didn't refill our water bottles. So we stopped.
Oh, that was it.
Yep. At
the water bottles.
I want to say it was Mark's Market. We stopped at some kind of local market.
Really friendly people there.
Really friendly people, yeah. We got some wood for camp.
Wood, water, and ice.
And ice, yeah. Yeah. They were super friendly people. Thermalopolis, though, that is on my list to go back and check out and spend time at. If I had seen that town, I probably would have tried to set up camp close to there instead. It's a Thermalopolis. It's a town that's got a bunch of hot springs all around it.
We didn't even experience one.
We didn't know. I wish we would have.
We were a little busy.
Yeah, we had our destination in mind. We really broke down our trip already for 4 hours of driving each day to get to where we want to get to and be able to spend 2 days at each campsite. But that's going to be on the bucket list for the future. We're going to go to Red Lodge again. We're going to come through this route again. So Thermalopolis.
Great route. Beautiful.
Oh my gosh. So then after Thermalopolis, you drive through what was the Wind River Gorge. Oh my God. That was so beautiful. We saw people river rafting down this thing. Absolutely beautiful. It's a canyon with a river and a highway on the side, and you're just winding through this canyon.
There was one spot that it was like an island through the river, and there was a house or some shit.
Yes,
it was
yes,
crazy.
yep.
And they had a rest area you could pull over.
They had a state campground or a state park with campground. So that's not our style, but if it's yours, you camp right in this Wind River Canyon, and it was absolutely beautiful.
It was a cool spot to drive through.
Really, we've had so many beautiful drives during this trip. It
was
really gorgeous.
And then we
pretty quickly after that we came into
what was it? Ocean Lake, Wyoming, and we had researched it and found a camp area that looked amazing on the map. With water, and it was on its own peninsula.
Yeah.
So you really want to look it up, and this is one you want to look at the blog for this one. Because man, what a cool experience we had.
It was so beautiful. We had the place all to ourselves for the most part. There were some kids camping way out, but we got there, and it's a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be on the map. We had a lot more options than I thought we were going to have. The campsites were more spaced out than I thought.
A lot of campsites, like I would say pretty close to 10 campsites on this little.
Or more.
Maybe.
Think about down
I'm talking about
ridge.
the one like on top.
Yeah. I mean, there might have been 10 Ramadas.
No, there was 5 Maradas.
There was 5? Okay.
They did have 5 Ramadas near the boat launch and vault toilets.
Dispersed camping sites that are established. So they have a vault toilet, Ramadas, picnic tables, and charcoal grills. They actually had a bunch of those, a cluster of those when you first enter the wildlife management area. So once you first enter the wildlife management area, there was camping right on the left-hand side, and then you continue down, and there's no camping. There's no camping signs, which is sad because it's where the only trees are in this area. If you are going to camp here, you want to bring your own shade. Then you continue along, and then there's an arrow pointing right or straight. And so you can go right, and you're getting on the lower beach on the right side of this peninsula. We didn't like it because we wanted the upper views. We kind of wanted to enjoy the peninsula, get the full panoramic lake. We ended up coming back out and going up onto the top, and we found a great spot away from everybody on the edge, having the space. I mean, by everybody, there was one group of a bunch of, it looked like teenagers or something.
Yeah, 2 carloads of kids looked like they were camping like we were.
Yeah, they were hanging out on roofs and
sunbathing
and stuff.
Yeah. We had the opportunity to have a nice flat spot that we could see far in the distance, and the dogs had plenty of space to run around.
Yeah. It was a beautiful spot. Where we set up camp pretty quickly. As I think it was after dinner, or maybe it was while we were cooking dinner, the sunset started. And it is the first time we'd been out of the mountains for a sunset in 6 months, or pretty close to 6 months. And it was incredible.
The horizon.
It was incredible.
You could see it. So clear.
They had a wildfire, so that helped, but there was also the beautiful wispy clouds, and you gotta
on the blog
see the
and check
pictures.
it out. A sunset for the ages.
It was really beautiful.
Everybody I've shared it with is like, oh my God.
It was
It
really
was
special.
just crazy. And we stayed there. We set up our Starlink. We had shower, screen tent, table, propane grill. I mean, we set it up and we stayed for a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
And man, we were having a great time until we're checking it out. Dogs are chasing rabbits. It's just fun. They didn't go swimming that much because all around the edges of this lake, there was like fencing.
Yeah.
And it looked super dangerous.
Yeah.
So we're
we were
like
keeping them out of the
trying
water.
to keep the dogs out of the water. And then
we decided we wanted to take the dogs swimming where they weren't likely to catch themselves on the chain link fence. So we walked over to the boat dock or the boat launch and let the dogs go. They swam for a little bit, and then as we're walking around and letting them play, we noticed the sign warning you not to swim in the water because the algae is toxic. So then we started doing research on the lake, which we should have done in advance. That's why we're doing this for you. We're doing all the dirty work so that you don't make the same mistakes that we make. We learned that this was a man-made lake. It was man-made in the 1920s, I think it was, as an irrigation runoff. So and you can tell, it's completely surrounded by farmland.
Yeah.
They water the crops, and then whatever the runoff is, makes its way into the lake. I don't know how familiar you are with what they put in our food, but it's all kinds of chemicals, all kinds of pesticides, fertilizers, and all that. So is going into this lake. On top of, it's a warm lake, so you've got these nasty algae pods, that are toxic. We were worried after we realized, of course, we pulled the dogs right out of the water right away. Nothing bad happened. Nobody got sick. Nobody had diarrhea.
We got lucky.
It was
there
nothing.
Was because it
was a very
showed you
small,
like pictures.
inconspicuous sign.
Yeah, and they showed you pictures of what it looked like, and it looks like it just grows, and the dogs weren't playing in any of that. So at least around the boat ramp, it was thankful that we went over there. It's thankful there was a fence around. They did go in the water, but it was around the boat ramp where boats are coming in and out every day, so the algae probably not going to grow there.
So it's a beautiful spot if you've got a boat and you want to go boating, or you just want to enjoy a beautiful lake view, but this isn't a spot you want to go swimming.
No swimming and no dog swimming.
Yeah.
And there was boaters, and I guess you had to clean the fish a certain way.
Said, if you scaled the fish or removed the scales from the fish, then it was safe to eat. I probably would skip it.
At all.
I would probably skip it personally.
But we did have a great camping experience there. It was absolutely free.
Yeah.
And the views, sunrise and sunset, were spectacular. And we weren't bothered by anybody. And the dogs really, because of that fence, they really weren't trying to go in the water. Yeah. They were hanging around pretty much with us, and Norman obviously was hunting rabbits. So overall, the experience might not have been like the top experience, but it's still up there with the B+, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I had a great experience there, and sunset and sunrise was great.
And
we didn't get bothered, and it was very comfortable.
Absolutely. I wouldn't have changed the experience, but I don't know that I would go back, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take it back, but I would go somewhere else in the area instead next time. Thermalopolis, more than likely.
Yeah. Because it was only one exit prior.
Well, because it was before the gorge, so it was probably maybe 25 minutes away. If we would have stopped 25 minutes sooner. Now, I don't know about the dispersed camping in this area because it was a decent-sized town, but I'm sure we can find national forest close by or wildlife management area or something. That was really great. We had a great experience. Wyoming is beautiful. I love it. Definitely Wyoming's a place I want to check out more of. It's just too beautiful not to.
Going back to Wyoming?
We promised last episode that we were going to talk a little bit about our last experience at Yellowstone since we decided to skip it this time around. So, of course, just to recap our original story for Yellowstone, we had gone to Red Lodge, spent time with our friends at Red Lodge, and they had told us about Beartooth Pass, and we're like, heck yeah, we want to take Beartooth Pass. We love scenic roads. That's one of our favorite things to do. We set the GPS, and I was like, well, it doesn't make sense that Beartooth Pass would be the more efficient road, so we must be going in the wrong direction. So I changed it to the other Google option, and it was a beautiful drive. We were in awe of it, but it wasn't Beartooth Pass. It definitely was not Beartooth Pass, but it still popped you out right at the end of Beartooth Pass, where we went into Cook City and then into the northeast entrance of the Yellowstone National Park.
And we talked about Cook City, cool little town. And then after Cook City, you go through the National Park gate. And then shortly after that, you come into Lamar Valley, which is where most people are looking for bison, wolf, pretty much any wildlife.
Yeah, there's no thermal features there. And if you didn't know,
really
because I
wildlife.
didn't know, I didn't do any research on Yellowstone before we went. I just knew everybody goes to Yellowstone. It's the first national park. It's the first national park in the world, period. Like, it set the precedent for creating national parks, which I think is pretty spectacular. But I didn't know what Yellowstone was. I just assumed based on the name that it was a place of Yellowstone, which it does have some of that. But it's a giant super volcano underneath the ground that's dormant and not necessarily sleeping. I think some of the reports, some of the reports say that it's like 10,000 years overdue for erupting, and if it erupts, it's going to kill, the entire United States from the blackout, blah blah blah. But what it is essentially, all of these little veins of heat are heating up the water and the ground underneath. And so you've got all of these hot springs that are like beyond hot springs. Like, they're super crazy
if you
hot.
enter them.
Yeah, your skin will just melt off. So there's particular algae that grow in these various springs that create gorgeous rainbow colors. And then you've got the geysers, of course. There's Old Faithful, but there's geysers all over the place, not just Old Faithful. And they're just constantly spewing off. And then you've got the mud pots, which
Mud pots are the coolest things.
So it's boiling mud, and then you still have it's not actually boiling. It just looks like it's boiling. The gas is erupting from underneath the ground, the sulfur. The whole national park smells like sulfur. But the mud pot grow the same algae that grows in these prisms. So they're all different colors. Some of them are turquoise, some of them are pink, some of them are orange. There's just all of these beautiful colors of what looks like boiling mud. And it's the strangest, it looks like an alien planet. Like, it doesn't look like something that should exist on Earth. It's the strangest, most surreal, but awesomely beautiful experience. It was incredible.
We didn't experience great hikes. We didn't hike through the mountains or nothing. But when you're there, and if you're hitting all these spots, you're going up elevation, down elevation, because you're on boardwalks. And you're up on the boardwalks and stay on the boardwalk.
Yeah.
Don't be one of those people.
Yes.
So you're hiking and you're checking out all these things all day.
So to fill in what he's trying to say is, because the ground is so temperament with, the boiling mud and things like that, what they did for safety was build boardwalks for you to walk on and be able to enjoy all of these sites, because otherwise it's unsafe. Sometimes there's sinkholes will randomly happen, whatever it is, and to help encourage people from venturing off the dedicated path. And, curiosity kills the cat. I mean, you hear about all the time people sticking their foot or something into one of these boiling saunas, essentially, not sauna,
over 200 degrees.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, you want to touch the water and you melt your finger off. So it's part of to help stupid people stay alive.
I don't believe that water is 312 degrees. I'm sticking my finger in it.
So it was cool when we went. We went during the dry season, and we
went in August.
Yeah, it was August. That's their wildfire season.
Yeah, it's supposed to be super busy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that too. And being an Arizona chick, you really appreciate rain during a dry season. While we were there, it was foggy, it was dark, it was gloomy. We couldn't even see the top of the mountains that were around us. And I was a little disappointed in that because I didn't feel like we got to experience the full perspective of the views. But it poured the whole time we were there, which really meant that in the middle of August, at the end of the rush for summer vacation, before everybody goes back to school and back to life for fall, there was nobody anywhere. We got to enjoy. It felt like Yellowstone.
She
almost
says that.
That
That is not true. There was people at Old Faithful in the restaurants and in the stores.
Yes, of course.
But when we first arrived, we went through Lamar Valley. I'm going to say it again. Go on the blog and check it out. We went through Lamar Valley. We weren't disappointed. Within 10 or 15 minutes, we had bison in the road.
It was also the rut, to be fair. That's not probably like that year round. They were extra active because it was mating season, but they were everywhere, man. They were by the thousands.
We
saw them fighting with each other. We saw them trying to hump each other. It was so much fun to see. They're huge animals. God, they're so fast. They're incredible.
So we weren't disappointed. Now, we didn't see any wolf or anything, but we continued up and we entered, I think it was Mammoth Park or whatever they call it, Mammoth. And it's like the visitor center, which was pouring rain. But we would still put our rain gear on and enjoyed just being out in the rain with no people.
It was really nice. Now, if you haven't looked into Yellowstone yet, to kind of give you a heads up, so it's set up as two loops.
Two circles, two loops.
Now, coming from Lamar Valley, there's no thermal features. And then you come in from that northeast entrance, it's a fairly straight road, and then you enter the loop. And we went north instead of south. South, there's a hotel that way when you get close to the other intersection. I think there actually was a hotel right at that intersection where we headed north. And for that whole drive, there is no thermal viewpoints or thermal features until you come into the northwest side of Yellowstone, or the northwest side of the loop. Now, if you were to come in that entrance, you'd be coming from Bozeman, but that's where Mammoth is, where James is talking about. And we got to enjoy that. Nobody around, walked all the boardwalks, every inch of them. And then we started heading south. That's where you get into, when you get into the lower loop, you get into Grand Prismic,
Old Faithful.
But the west side of Yellowstone has most of the geothermal features. So you really could just hit, frankly, that's a lot of hiking. Walking up on all those different boardwalks, you're not into the backcountry, and there are more geothermal sites in the backcountry for sure. But you could just drive down that west side, hit a lot of really cool things in one day, and we humped it. I mean, we were running
we did a lot. We stopped at a lot of sites.
I think we got to Mammoth at like 9:00 in the morning, went all the way down, hiked all over, and then we had a tour to catch at 6:30 in the evening. So we grabbed dinner. So we planned on camping at Yellowstone Lake, but we were too wet. We needed a hot shower. And so we decided to opt for a hotel.
Cabin.
Yeah, we got a cabin, which is hilarious for our Grand Canyon friends. These cabins are exactly what housing cabins are at the Grand Canyon. They look exactly like the housing. Cracked me up. So we got a cabin. We took a hot shower, warmed up after being wet all day, and grabbed dinner, and then jumped on one of the, I think they're yellow bus tours at Yellowstone, the traditional tours. So we jumped on that tour, went and saw, Fire Hole Waterfall. We've got a picture of that. We'll put that on the blog.
But we did get to see Gibbons Fall.
It's beautiful.
And he gives us more information.
Yeah.
And he brings you a little laser thermometer. So
so you can see how hot the water is.
He can show you how hot it really is.
Yeah.
And you're just going on the boardwalk with him. So it really wasn't bad to go on the tour. Gibbons Falls and Firehole Falls, or whatever it was called. Man, spectacular. I mean, if you've been following us, even in Idaho, we're searching out waterfalls and stuff.
There's actually a scientific thing behind that. I can't remember the details exactly, and I might have mentioned it in the episode where we talked about char falls. But when water crashes into water, it releases ions that help stimulate dopamine production in your body. Being around waterfalls, or water crashing on water, which of course is waterfalls, actually makes you happy. It releases happy drugs in your body. So that's why we chase the waterfalls. Even though TLC says not to.
TLC says not to?
Yeah, Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls. It's a song written by TLC, or sung by TLC. I don't know if they ran it.
That must have been in the 2000s or something.
90s. But definitely your decade, baby. The next day, we went and saw... we traveled the southern loop up
to the canyon,
to Yellowstone
Canyon.
Yellowstone's Grand Canyon.
It's not like the Grand Canyon, but it is a canyon, and it has a river going through it with more waterfalls.
Yep. And it's beautiful. It's its own unique.
It was cool.
It's different.
And 2 days and really a day and a half
we
of
hit just
rain.
about everything.
We hit almost every spot.
Yeah, it was still raining the second day.
And even, you don't think because we didn't do any big hikes, but even going to the Grand Prismic, you had to hike 2 miles to get out there.
So that's a good tip to give, because we got that from the tour guide. So you can go to the Grand Prismic
Oh, that parking lot was so packed, remember?
Yeah, and you can wait to get a parking spot, and then you can try to stand with everybody by these bars, and you're looking at something that's gigantic. I mean, what is it? It had to be 30 feet across or more. And from you're standing level. Or you can take the trail. It was, what was it called? Ferry something trail. I'll put the link in our blog.
We always go to the blog.
The ferry something trail. You take that trail. It's about a mile hike. And you end up on, and you can keep on going. I understand there's waterfalls out there as well. Go chasing the waterfalls. But you get up on this ridge above Grand Prismatic. And so you can take pictures looking down over it, and you can actually see the full scale of it. See and then
all
so
the
this
colors.
is like the biggest hot pool in Yellowstone with the most dramatic colors. When you see it, you'll realize you've seen pictures of it. You see all the people down there standing around it and how tiny they are compared to this big giant hole you're seeing, or pool you're seeing. So that was really cool. So that's my recommendation for that. I think it's definitely better to experience it from up high than
and
down
getting out there hiking. It was a great little hike.
It was a nice little hike. We started our morning out with that actually before we started driving around. And then there's the mud volcano. That was pretty cool. And I really like walking around, reading all the interpretive signs and getting all the information. The Yellowstone terrain there is always changing. They're having all different kinds of sinkholes or something new will erupt.
Yellowstone is just so bizarre because I would be scared to hike the backcountry.
Yes.
Be like, am I going to fall in a volcano and end up in the middle of the earth?
Yeah, and
it's crazy.
Ryan and Deidre had done 6 days, I think, backpacking through Yellowstone. It wasn't like 6 days nonstop. Like they backpack in for 6 miles and then camp overnight and then have to hike out and then hike 4 miles to get to their next spot. So they did 6 miles in the morning, got to the car, and then did 4 miles to their next spot. So they did that for 6 days, and obviously nothing bad happened. Minus they said that the mosquitoes were terrible, which was the other beautiful thing about the time frame that we went, was there were no mosquitoes because it was raining so much. Not the time frame, but the day that we went because of the rain.
It was pretty lucky.
We were really lucky.
Because when you went into, we said we got one of the cabins, but when we went into the restaurant and went on the tour and were in the hotel waiting for the tour, there was people everywhere.
Because they had nothing else to do.
Because it was raining and nobody wanted to be out in it. Even the tour, the guy could barely keep the windows defogged.
Yeah.
Because the temperature and just the weather. It was still a great experience. Yep. I mean, Yellowstone, again, we scratched the surface of it. This is new for us, but I can't wait to go back there. I want to spend 2 weeks there, and we're going to figure out how to camp in between Yellowstone and Grand Tetons for free. Yeah. We haven't discovered how to do it yet, but there's national forest in between.
Yeah, so when you go out the south entrance, you leave Yellowstone, and then you're in the John D. Rockefeller National Forest on the John D. Rockefeller Parkway. And there's all kinds of camping on either side of the road, established campgrounds. Whether or not you have to pay for them or not, though, we don't know. We've tried researching it. We're not getting any definitive answers. That tells me that probably
where'd we find one, though? And it was, something Creek? It was Lizard Creek?
Lizard Creek, maybe, but that was in Grand Tetons National Park.
But that was cheap.
Yeah, it was like $30 or something. Yeah. But
we didn't find it free.
Yeah. And so we had a campsite in Grand Tetons, and then when we got there, it was not as described. We really like to have our privacy. We don't like people being on top of us. When we're in a campground, we just want to have our elbow room. And the way this was set up, so the people we were camping next to, they had 2 tents on a 1-tent site, and there was encroaching on us. And it was like our site was like an afterthought. It was like squeezed between 2 different spots. And when we looked at it on the map, it looked like this campsite was going to be right on the lake. And in fact, there was another campsite in between us and the lake. So it was like there was 2 campsites next to each other and one on the lake. And they decided to squeeze our campsite in between all of these guys because there just was maybe enough space for it. And we didn't even feel like we had enough space to set up our tent and set up our grill. We started unpacking the car and we were like, this is stupid. And we were looking at the sky and it looked like a thunderstorm was going to roll in. And we were just like, this isn't even going to be fun. Like literally the back of our tent would have been against the back of the other tent, like the way they were encroaching on our space. So we just packed up and we just kept on going, drove through Tetons. We didn't spend any time in Tetons. There were some things I would like to do, like kayak, maybe do a little bit of hiking, but Grand Tetons is literally just a mountain range.
It's just a cool view.
It's a beautiful mountain range.
Everything
They're
around there is
super
expensive.
rugged. They're very unique looking. But that's all it is. It's a mountain range and forest, and you have mountain ranges and forests everywhere. So I wasn't super impressed with Grand Tetons, especially once you leave Yellowstone. You're like Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, man, these are like really amazing and unique things. And you go to Grand Tetons and it's like, yeah, they're super rugged mountains. Like they're young mountains. So they're very, very rough cut. They didn't impress me very much. Yeah.
It was still beautiful drive.
It was beautiful. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But again, I don't regret having seen it, but I don't know that I'm going to put it on my list of places I need to go back to, is kind of how I feel.
Well, you would just drive through if we're in Yellowstone.
If I go to Yellowstone, I'll drive through again. So when you drive out of Tetons for a while, and it is a beautiful, beautiful drive. We stopped, we took some pictures, and then you get to Jackson Hole. And I had always felt Jackson Hole was kind of like the name says. It's kind of a hole in the ground. I expected to be kind of like a beat up old cowboy city. No. Yuppie ski town is what it is. That's what I would call it. Like if Sedona and Aspen had a baby. But again, threw it in Wyoming. It's fine if that's what you like. That's just not our speed. So we just zipped right through and we ended up getting a hotel room in Pinedale. We had dinner at a brewery and the beer was bomb. The food was bomb. We had a great time. The hotel was nice. We had a jacuzzi. It was great. Instead of camping. So we were supposed to camp that whole trip down, and we ended up being cold and wet and getting hotel rooms instead. I guess I kind of want to drive the point home that you want to be prepared for anything, because our experience in Yellowstone, our weather was supposed to be clear. There was some kind of storm system that randomly popped up and came through and got stuck in Yellowstone. They couldn't get out the mountains. If we hadn't been prepared, it would have been a really miserable experience. Whether you're camping or not, you should always go on vacation with all weather gear, because you don't want your vacation being ruined by Mother Nature. Take advantage of the opportunity, take advantage of the crowds being thinner, and go enjoy your time.
It's fun. If you're prepared, rain's no big deal.
Yep.
I mean, even to a point, even snow isn't too big of a deal. You just got to have the right gear. And we did. We stopped at every spot, even though it was raining. We had umbrellas, ponchos on, and nobody on the boardwalks. And we were able to just read the signs and walk casually, nobody bumping into us. It was a great experience, really.
And if we had been in a situation where we were forced to have to camp, I don't think we would have felt so positively about it, because we wouldn't have been able to take those hot showers. Even with a tent shower, if it's cold outside, even if your shower is hot, it's hard for that to be a comfortable experience. That's part of the flexibility of it all. Sometimes you got to be able to change your plans just to make your experience more enjoyable.
Yep. That was a little bit about Yellowstone and Grand Tetons. We ended, and then we went through Utah and then made our way back to the Grand Canyon, to the South Rim. On that particular trip last August, we went and visited Idaho and then came down through Red Lodge, Yellowstone.
And with this current trip too, that's exactly what we're doing. We're going to go down through Utah. So you'll have to stay tuned.
Stay tuned, because after we leave Ocean Lake, there's some beautiful roads we're going to talk about.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Just scenery.
Yep.
It's crazy.
I tell you what, Utah itself should be designated a national park. The entire state's just gorgeous.
A little bit of Wyoming and Utah that we went through after Ocean Lake was bomb. So we're going to talk about that in the next episode, because this episode's already too long.
Thanks, you guys, for listening. We love you. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Kerouac's Cruising.
We're thrilled to have you with us.
We had a blast recording this episode and hope you enjoyed our adventures as much as we enjoyed sharing them.
For more amazing pictures and stories, visit our website and blog at kerouacscruising.com.
And join the conversation on Facebook at Kerouac's Cruising, or email us at join@kerouacscruising.com.
We'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions.
If you enjoyed this episode, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving us a review.
Your support helps us reach more listeners and allows us to continue sharing our travel experiences with you.
It's a generous favor that means the world to us.
Thank you so much for listening to Kerouac's Cruising.
Until next time, happy travels.